Good day, YouTubers. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls from all around the world. Cut some holes. Gun ports. And some ropeways per the instructions. See up there, along with the 4 gun ports, there's 2 ropeway slots for rigging lines. So I'm going to work on cutting this side out. And I've already test fitted these ones here. Go in the bottom, and then the fancier ones with the hatch on it get that hinge facing the right way, and they'll go in the top 2 holes. So we got good sizing and everything. And I'll show you what I did to get these cut out. On my little assortment of files here, clean it up. And I got a 2mm drill bit in here because that's the width of that slot for the rigging lines. And it also works when you go at an angle, you can open that up. I just drilled 3 holes and then started walking it back and forth and then cleaned it up with a file. But I'm going to use this smaller one and go into the corners on where it's marked at. And then I've got my router bit rigged up in the Dremel, and I use this larger drill bit to drill out a center hole, and then go in there with this router bit and walk around that opening very carefully, because it wants to pull your bit away from or into past the lines. You got to be real solid holding this while you do the cutting. And if you go too slow, it doesn't cut very good. If you go too fast, you can really mess something up easy. So you got to be a moderate speed and then really hold on to it. And then of course I'm not doing it just sitting here on the table. I'm going to take it something like this and clamp it down with some big clamps so it can't move while I'm opening these holes up. I'll show you that in a closed caption format. In the meantime, we got rain today, and I mean it was ripping. It was ripping earlier, pouring really hard. But it's Florida, springtime. It's gonna rain. Well, yesterday I spent all morning long putting them pool noodles on the bars in that greenhouse to help protect the cover from getting wear and tear as the wind blows it up and down onto those arms. And I cut off the excess that was on this end. We just had it folded back in there and tied off with a bunch of ropes. So I cut that off and then redid and resecured it on the end here. So we got a piece that goes 2 bars down for backup if that tears or something. And that's the second covering we've had on that greenhouse. So they're good for about 3 years in this Florida weather, sun and all. This one is a little bit more tougher because it's got a nylon web weaving into the plastic, and it makes it a lot stronger. Hopefully it'll last longer. But it's a good hard raining day, and we'll get a little bit done here in the build process. So let me get this set up where it's not in the way. I can still film. I'll put it on closed caption so you can see what I do to get these opened up and all, but you don't have to wait for the long time it takes me to really do it. So as you can see, I made a boo-boo right there, but it didn't dig into the wood too bad. I'll just have to lightly sand it, and then I can put some lacquer over it. So the top 2 gun ports, yeah, I don't have it too wide, but I do have to go in there and file it in the corners and stuff. That one fits. I got a lot of cleanup work to do to get the corners and the back side all that. There's a little bit of stuff hanging out in there. See if I can show you. Yeah, all that's got to get cleaned up without messing up the face there. You can see how I did this one. Very carefully go in there and work on it. So that takes quite a while to get this cleaned up good. And I'll do these 2 also. But you can see it's not too bad with the router bit in the Dremel, but it is easy to make a boo-boo. Whether you go too far outside the line or you hit something. That was just me shaking, I think, when I did that. So let me work on cleaning this up. That's going to take a lot of patience. Okay, so we got the gun ports cut out and cleaned up, and the next thing in the plans was to install some rubbing stakes on the outside of the hull and to cap this railing here on top. So in preparation for that, I was supposed to stain some particular sizes of wood to be installed for the rubbing stakes, because all of them were a basswood light color, and I had to be stained with a walnut. So this morning after the stain dried yesterday, went ahead and put these pins in there and cut to length and sanded the ends. This is antique walnut. Been using that for several ships now. I'm almost out of it. So the plans show for two of these fatter rubbing stakes down here below, right below the scupper holes, and 9mm below the gun port on the bottom, and then the skinnier rubbing stake 3mm above the top gun port, and then a skinnier board, which is really the same as the planking boards. I think a 5mm by 1¼ millimeter. It's about what it measures, but to put that on the top is to cap this railing. And I've got a pin in the spot right where the frame is at, so I can pull it down while the glue sets. I'm going to do that last, after I get these ones here on the side. And I should be able to just glue them up and then take the pliers, and once I get them lined up, use the pliers to push those pins in so they can't move around. The top bigger one here is pretty flat, but the bottom one, there's quite a bit of curve to the hull, so I did put a little pre-bend in the bottom one just by hand, so it'll hug that edge or hug that face. So I'm going to put this in closed caption and glue these up, because I may run into a battle of getting it to go to the right spot before I can push on the pin, and glue mushing out somewhere I don't want it to, and all these other things. So another addition here to the build is a big old hunk of steel I got at an estate sale for like $2. That's a perfect for counterweight options. That I'm always using counterweights. I got all different sizes of steel blocks and bars and stuff that I use for counterweights all the time. But this bigger one here is going to be ideal for the build, because it fits right into this big opening in the bottom, and it's really heavy, so I won't have to worry about this moving around a lot while I'm working on getting this thing this step here done. Okay, so that didn't go too bad. I don't like this one here though. It looks too high here on the left. I'm going to try to lower it down a little bit. That looks better. I like to use pins because it's pretty much guaranteed to stay while the glue sets. There's other ways too. You got rubber bands and clamps and straps and a myriad of different ways to hold stuff while the glue dries, but pins work good for stuff like this. You just got to make sure you're not too close to the end so you don't split the board. And you want to get the real small diameter pin. So now they bend real easy, but they don't make a big hole. And they sell different diameters at Walmart. You gotta make sure you get the smallest diameter one so it's easier to work with. Alright. Flip around to the other side, but that's going to be it for this week. Next week we got what's in our plants here. Get you guys where you can see here. Get these rubbing stakes glued on. Okay, we got an easy one there to keel board. Glue that on, stain it probably, and then we got some racks for the dead eyes. So next week we'll do racks for the dead eyes, the keel. Oh no. And of course, once the rack's glued on and dried, you got to put dead eyes on it. There's probably going to be a little board in front of yeah. See how the dead eyes are behind the board in the front there, and then over here they're showing exposed. There's a little notch in the board. So there'll be two boards to get those dead eyes strapped and installed. And it looks like some pins and wire. Yeah, I got to bend the wire though. That's going to be fun. I've done this before, well, on other builds, and the wire sometimes when you go to twisting it, you'll crush that dead eye. So you got to be really careful. And that will take some time for building. And then there's baling pin racks after that. And it's fixing to rain out again. Here it is Friday. I moved this other ship off my bench so I could get some working room on that bench. But it's just starting to come down now. Thanks for watching.